We need this. We need this scene. Hey everybody, hope you're doing great. Welcome to the English Weekend Roundup. This is definitely sharing the wrong screen, so I'm going to have to change this over real quick. It'll just take just a second. Actually, if I flick this and then I go ahead and... That's weird because that is not the sidetrack monitor. Okay. There we go. No idea why that worked. It was already selecting the right monitor, but it wasn't showing what was actually on that monitor. It was showing what was on monitor 2. Bizarre. Anyway, hope everybody's doing great. Welcome to the English Weekly Roundup that I do here on Twitch after my week long of English classes. I usually have about 22 classes where I teach the same material, and then I have another roughly 16 classes right now that I often use similar material and ask questions throughout related to my week's topic. And by the end of the week, we always have these really interesting conversations that we've had. And generally, I've had lots of really good questions that I like to share here on Twitch during these weekend roundups. So if I look tired tonight, well, you know what? I am, like every Sunday night. It's been a busy week, and the kids are out of school next week. All next week, they'll be home. And we have 3 little girls. 2 of the girls are school age. One is 9, one's 7, and the youngest is 7 months going on 8 months, right? So she's not doing much other than needing to be cared for right now. But the other 2, you just never know what their mood is going to be like. These girls, they're great, but they're absolutely crazy sometimes. I'm gonna pull the microphone over here a little closer because I think I'm sitting over here on the right-hand side of my desk, and usually I'm sitting on my left-hand side, but I'm trying to train myself to stay in the box over this way. But anyway, like I said, hope you're all doing great, and hopefully this is something useful for you. So today's weekly roundup, we'll start off with just a phrasal verb that, one, I like, doze off. I'm at a point in life, yeah, like I said, 3 kids. It's nice to sit down on the couch, turn off my lights down here in the studio, and just doze off, which is different than taking a nap or different than going to sleep. Doze off means to fall asleep unintentionally or for a short period, especially during the daytime. Now, again, it doesn't have to be during the daytime. This is any time you go to sleep and you don't mean to go to sleep. And that's what makes it different from taking a nap. When you take a nap, we'll call it some spicy English here for you. When you take a nap, you intend to fall asleep. It's not unintentional. It is intentional when you take a nap. I'm going to take 30 minutes, set my alarm, and wake up after a nice, refreshing nap. Same when you sleep at night. When you sleep, you lay down at night. You plan to wake up tomorrow morning. You're going to sleep. When you doze off, it's unplanned. It's not something that you have done intentionally. It's unintentional. Ori, ayo, how you doing? I have a master's degree. I believe that, my friend. Tell you what, from Spain, king of siestas. But dozing off. Dozing off is unplanned. You're not planning to sleep, so you take a quick little nap. For example, I always tend to doze off when I'm reading in the afternoon. Second example, it's dangerous to doze off while driving, so make sure to take breaks in long journeys. Ori, what's something you do when you drive a long way to make sure you stay awake? Me, well, I learned the hard way. Once upon a time, 2014, when I came home to visit my family for 1 week from China, I went on a ski trip with a girl that I was dating. I had the heater on in the car, so it was warm, it was toasty. You know, I was feeling pretty sleepy, but I didn't think I'd fall asleep. A few seconds later, the car had drifted onto the soft shoulder of the road. The soft shoulder is where the pavement turns into the grass, turns into mud. That soft shoulder pulls your car in the direction of that shoulder, and there was a hill probably 20 feet from where I first came off the road. Once I came upon the hill, the car rolled over. Awful situation. Nowadays, if I feel even sleepy for a moment, I don't take any chances about dozing off. I will get out of the car. I will do jumping jacks at the next petrol station's coming to mind. I'm not British. British English petrol station, gas station, American English. I'd stop at the next gas station, do some jumping jacks, get a coffee, whatever I need to not feel sleepy anymore. And the moment I feel sleepy again, I'll get out of the car and do the same thing once over. But to doze off, often when we watch basketball games, this weekend's been a great weekend for some NCAA March Madness basketball tournaments. Here it's like driving in the jungle, so it's not easy to doze off because you need to be aware at all times. You see things all over the place. There's always something to keep your attention, so you don't have to worry about dozing. Here, that drive in particular, on a dark winter night when you have the heater on in the car, heaters in cars make me sleepy anyway. I don't know if you're the same way. But a coffee or a Red Bull always helps. Yes, that's the way to go. Coffee, for me, it's a hot cup of coffee. Turn off the heater and just let the cold air surround me. I don't go to sleep very easily when I'm cold. So I just remove the warmth and I tend to be okay. But we have this long, straight road. It's dark. There are not many towns, definitely no cities in that part of North Carolina, driving through the mountains. And it's an area that it becomes so monotonous. This is a good word. I'll use this word again probably in a moment. But monotonous. Monotonous means it's something you do over and over, but it's often boring, right? The landscape, sure, in the daytime, there are trees, there are hills, there are things to look at. But at night, you're watching for deer and you're just driving straight along a very dark road with a heater on and with no other cars around to even pay attention to. So it's kind of a long, boring, monotonous drive. All right. Now, Ori is actually the person I use this with this week in class. I wish your voice, I could actually, it would take a few steps for me to patch you through. I could do it. But we did this in class this week, and this is one of my favorite English poems for learning the differences between similar sounding words. And in the US, almost all the roads are very monotonous. Yeah, unless you're in South Carolina. South Carolina's roads are like Honduras's roads, right? They're big open roads with a lot of potholes and a lot of cracks in the road. So when you're driving along, you hear boom, 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 boom as you go along. So I feel like South Carolina's roads will keep you awake because they're so poorly maintained. Well, let's try to say this maybe 2 times. I'll read through it once and then we'll read through it again a little bit faster. I need to practice it once. I always recommend practicing it 1 time, paying attention to each word, and then go back through as fast as you can, as fast as you're comfortable. And then over time, challenge your speed to see if you can say something like this faster and faster. Here we go. And try to find a cadence to it. Try to find a rhythm. I take it you already know of tough and bow and cough and dough. Others may stumble, but not you, on hiccup, furrow, laugh, and through, and cork and work and card and ward, and front and font and front and word and sword. A little bit of a tongue twister already, isn't it? Well done, and now if you wish, perhaps to learn of less familiar traps. Beware of heard, a dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird, and dead, it's said, like bed, not bead. For goodness sakes, don't call it deed. I'll follow through next time with my cursor, just in case you have trouble following the words that I'm saying. I mean, it has to be pretty cool, have your roads, but of course it's easier to doze off. Yeah, in the US, oftentimes to help people keep from falling asleep, in the DC area, we have a lot of roads like this. I feel like the state of Virginia and the northern states all invested in, what's the word for this? There are ridges in the road. They've left little gaps, little ridges, where when your tire drifts off or over the paint on the pavement, it will make this just juddering, jarring sound. And it's a really loud whirring sound that if you're asleep, you'll freak out, you'll wake up. Hiccup and thorough, nightmares. One of my students from Argentina, I made up, we have an old children's song. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Just take the first part of that. Row, 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 thorough. It helped him open up his jaw. When you say thorough, you see I'm opening my jaw just a little bit. Let me watch myself. Thorough. You see it? Thorough. I don't do it. It's not exaggerated when I say the word regularly, but thorough, right? Row, 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 thorough. It prepares you to say the O, the row sound, like you do in thorough, but row, row, row exaggerates that sound. So by the time you get to the word thorough, it's easier to say. So that's a little trick to help loosen your jaw and let it drop so you can say thorough correctly. Before we say this again, let me drop this up here again. This is the Menti map. I'm using this to keep track of people who are visiting the stream. If you're visiting now, just scan that QR code, or you can go to menti.com and where is it? Right here. And you can enter this code and you'll pull up this map and you can add your PIN to it. You don't need to leave an email address or anything. This isn't sequestering or trying to get your information. You just scan it. It takes you right to the map. Drop a PIN. You'll be anonymous. Nobody will know who you are, but we'll all be able to see it. And again, you'll see the pins on your phone aren't the easiest things to place. Someone placed a pin. I'm guessing they're from Brazil, but maybe they're somewhere from the Pacific Ocean. Not the Pacific, excuse me, the Atlantic Ocean, or the Galapagos Islands are somewhere in here, I think. So, you know. But yeah, go ahead and drop a pin on that, on there, so we'll know where everyone's from. I think it's just interesting to keep track of everybody. All right, now let's try to say this poem just a little bit faster. Let me get a sip of something. Clear my throat a little bit. Here we go. I take it you already know of tough and bow and cough and dough. Others may stumble, but not you. On hiccup, thorough, laughing through, and cork and work and card and ward, and front and font. This one's getting me tonight. And font and front. I'm starting over. Let's start over. Let's get it all together. Font and front and word and sword. I take it you already know of tough and bow and cough and dough. Others may stumble, but not you. On hiccup, thorough, laugh and through, and cork and work and card and ward, and font and front and word and sword. Well done, and now if you wish, perhaps, to learn of less familiar traps, beware of heard a dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird. And dead, it said like bed, not bead. For goodness sakes, don't call it dig. Whew. That's a lot to remember while going through. But all of these words, these are not terribly uncommon words, but they are weird words because bow looks like bow, or boff. How is this cough and this is bow? Cow? No. Dow? Doe. Bow, cough, doe. And then hiccup. Hiccup, we actually spell H-I-C-C-U-P also, but this is the old, more traditional British spelling, hiccup, hiccup. And it's, instead of saying hiccup, hiccup. Something more like that, hiccup. We leave it more open. Thorough, again, up, oh, laugh, and through. There it goes, ooh. So, ow, off, oh, off, oh, af, ooh. English is truly preposterous sometimes. The way that we say words is linked to where the words came from and when we started using these words. in English. So anyway, this is fun to practice. It's really good practice for quite a few different sounds with a few of the more challenging and difficult to remember words in the English language. Give it a try. Feel free to go to the Discord. I think this should be right. If it's not, you can go to the Twitch page and there's a link there too. This Discord This Discord link should still work. It should all be okay. And two, if you're not following, please do make sure you give us a follow so we can grow the numbers, get up to 50. If I can get to 50 followers and have 3 people watching each stream for, I think it's a month. I think it's just a month. Then I can become a Twitch affiliate and we can have all the fun little whistles and bells and channel points and things that people have. We only need 50 followers. It's not even that many. I believe we'll get there. What else would I say? Is that all my advertising for the moment? I think so. All right. This is a motto, an idiom. I love this one. Seize the day. In Latin, it's carpe diem. Carpe diem. Seize the day. This was made famous in an American film with Robin Williams called Dead Poets Society. If you haven't seen this, I highly, highly, highly recommend Dead Poets Society. Robin Williams, a comedian, plays comedian, but just all-round great actor and someone, he had troubles in his real life, but always on screen, this was like your uncle that you wanted to hang out with because he's such a nice and fun guy. At least that's how I always felt about him. He plays a professor in this movie, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. So give it a watch. Seize the day means to make the most of the present moment without worrying about the future. Seize the day. Carpe diem. Live for now. Ori, can you think of any other similar idioms that mean live for the moment? Seize the day. There's one in particular that's 4 letters. It's 4 letters. It's an acronym. Before I say what it is, we'll call this a little bit more spicy vocabulary here. Before I say what it is, let me know in the chat if you know 4 letters. It's an acronym that means to seize the day. Carpe diem. Do it now. Let's try these examples before I tell you. Instead of hesitating, I seized the day and applied for the job. So I didn't overthink this. I didn't worry about it and then question myself out of doing it. I seized the day and I went and did it. When the sun came out, we decided to seize the day and go for a hike. It's beautiful outside. So we're going to seize the day and get out there. It may be a long hike. I may get hot. I may get sweaty. I may be tired because I'm out of shape. But I'm going to seize the day to go and do this. My wife last weekend was questioning whether she should go to the Cherry Blossom Festival here in DC. And I told her to seize the day. Why not? I'm not going. I'm exhausted. Sundays are very, very busy days for me. If I look tired, you can kind of see the bags under my eyes. Part of that's allergy. The other part is it's been a long week. Sunday evenings, I'm just ready to kick back, doze off, watching a movie with my wife, playing a video game by myself, or reading a nice book, right? But she seized the day, and she was so happy she did because the blooms for the cherry blossoms came early this year. They bloomed last weekend at peak. And this weekend, last weekend it was 72 degrees. Right now, I think it's in the 30s. It may be the 40s. But let's see. Remember, this is Fahrenheit since I'm in the US. Right now it says it's 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll tell you, it's cold. So this weekend, the Cherry Blossom Festival wouldn't have been as much fun as last weekend with 72 degrees short and short sleeve weather. She got some beautiful pictures with the baby. Fantastic time. All right, so seize the day. I should make a little sticker of that here, little motto to throw up in the chat. Seize the day. Don't let the day pass you by. All right, and the final slide, I always like to end off my little streams with the question of the week. This time, I'm taking two questions because they're related. You'll notice some vocabulary in these questions. Day in, day out. Any guesses what that means? Oh, hey, before we do that, chat, that phrase that I mentioned earlier, that acronym, four-letter acronym that means the same as seize the day. Who has heard this one? YOLO. YOLO. Do you know what it stands for? Does anyone know what YOLO means? Ori, do you know what it means? Can you write the 4 words that YOLO stands for? I'm going to do it, but I'm going to give you just a moment. We have about a 15, maybe 20-second delay. Yes. What is it? Okay. I'm going to let Ori do it. What does YOLO stand for? You only live once. Yeah, that's it. You only live once. YOLO, made famous, I feel like almost by streamers, some 10 years ago or so. Stone Mountain 64. If you watched any Facebook streams or if you've ever watched any Call of Duty streams, this guy is very, very well known, right, in the Call of Duty scene. He used to have YOLO Squad, right? And he has a lot of videos on him. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of promoting him here. Go watch him. I think he's a great guy. Got a good family. He had YOLO Squad, and they uploaded a ton of YouTube videos of them doing really stupid and often very funny things in Call of Duty. But yeah, Stone Mountain 64, YOLO Squad. It was around that time that this word, you heard it everywhere, and us old people were like, YOLO. No! Lizzie, this is my wife, by the way. Lizzie Lou, this is my wife. There's a show the girls watch. She knows the name of it, I'm sure. What is the name of this show? Liz and Maddie. It's Liz and Maddie, isn't it? Liz and Maddie, I think it's a Disney show. And she sings this song. It's a full song. What was it? How do you know how it goes now? It's like, Fro-yo is my favorite treat. I don't sing. I don't try to, but Liv and Maddie, not Liz and Maddie. Liv and Maddie. Okay. She's like, Fro-yo, oh, it's YOLO. Oh, it's, oh my God. It's a headache. That song, and my girls will listen to it, dance to it, and sing it. And gosh darn, if that song is not catchy. If I hear it, it will get stuck in my head again, and I'll sing it all day long. It's awful. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. All right. Question of the week. Vocabulary. These are the words to know when thinking about these questions. Day in, day out. Day in, day out. You can think of this as from sunrise to sunset. Sunrise is day in. Sunset is day out. Day in, day out. These are the things you do over and over every day. Day in, day out. And then you have the daily grind. Make sure you say this with the long I. Daily grind. Think of yourself as a coffee bean, right? We have to take a coffee bean, we grind it into powder, or if you're a baker, maybe you want to be wheat and we grind you into flour. Maybe you're Asian and you like rice flour, right? Maybe you are a grain of rice and we grind you to make rice flour. But hopefully you're kind of getting the imagery here of the daily grind. You're the coffee bean. So it's grinding you. It's taking all of your energy. It's causing you to burn out throughout the week. It just happens over and over and over. It's monotonous and it grinds you down. Just like that coffee bean. It turns you into powder. By the end of the week, there's nothing left of you but dust. Day in, day out, and daily grind. We have a couple people in chat tonight. Why don't you tell me, how would you define the daily grind in your own life? Lizzie, Ori? The second question, what tasks or activities do you find yourself doing day in and day out? And how do you keep these tasks interesting? So what I'll do is I'll start talking about some of the interesting answers I got this week. And if the two of you wouldn't mind, go ahead and write your responses, your thoughts in the chat. We'll make a conversation out of it. But most people this week said they define their daily grind as number one, their morning commute. Your morning commute. when you commute to a place, let me put that word in chat so you can see it. Commute. When you commute somewhere, C-O-M-M-U-T-E, it's your trip there and back again. When you travel to work and you travel home, that's your to work and from work commute. You go to a place and return from a place, it's your commute. I know Ori's commute has been interesting this week and last week, almost every week lately, it seems, because of traffic in Honduras. Around here in DC, well, Lizzie and I are lucky we work from here. We work from home, so we don't have to travel, and our commute is nothing more than the 2 or 3 minutes it takes to walk down the stairs, grab a cup of coffee in the kitchen, and come down. And for me, I begin teaching here. She goes off to the living room or to her little study nook in it's not the kitchen. that sounds horribly sexist. She has a little corner of the dining room, which is kind of the same thing as the kitchen. But she hides away there, and she'll often do a lot of work from her little hidey hole over in the corner. But, you know, the riding on a train to get to work, some of my students this week said that they use their commute time, their daily grind, to study, right? They study their English. They listen to podcasts. They listen to, I don't know about my Twitch videos yet. We don't really have that kind of following here yet. But for English at the Ready, you see the little logo down there. I'll talk more about that at the very end. But English at the Ready, they watch our video lessons. Quite a few students watch them on their 1 to 1.5 hour commutes. We have a girl who lives in Paris. She has a 1.5 hour commute to work and a 1.5 hour commute home from work. That's 3 hours commuting to work. And she has a job that she often stays 10 hours a day. So you say 13 hours a day, basically at work and or commuting from work. That's a lot of time. My daily grind is to survive. I mean, again, in Honduras, in certain cities, this is a great goal. I feel like most of Latin America, just surviving the daily grind. In China, shoot, every day I lived in China, surviving the daily grind, because I felt like a coffee bean squeezed into a grinder with all these other coffee beans, and we're all just trying not to get ground up as quickly as we can, you know? We're trying to stay away from the grinder as best we can. We want to be the beans on top that don't get sucked down into the blades of the grinder. No, I'm joking, but basically it's to sit in front of the screen and work the, yeah. And that's the other one. That was the other main response to this was I sit in a chair and I work on a spreadsheet all day. I know you do this too. Sounds horrible, but I love my job. And again, yeah, spreadsheets aren't the worst thing. If it's giving you interesting information and you can see the numbers come to life, it's a fantastic thing. More and more of my job during the day when I'm not on camera teaching is becoming a spreadsheet because I'm trying to categorize and bring together, let's see, English at the Ready, we launched for the first time in August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Holy cow, we've been around almost, 8 months. That's wild. That's wild. We've been here. Oh, I can do this. We've been around for 8 months. So we have 8 months of lessons. I've been writing, holy cow. That's hard to believe. I've been writing lessons for almost that long. Lessons, 2 video classes, 1 master class a week. So what? 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 8, 80, 96. I've written 96 lessons. Holy crap. There's where my time goes in the day, is researching and writing these lessons. And see, now I have to categorize them, put them into spreadsheets to make them searchable because, put them in spreadsheets so they're searchable because I'm starting to forget if I've written a lesson on this topic or not. This is becoming a kind of a daily issue in my daily grind is, do I already have a lesson on this? Or do I need to write another lesson on this type of phrasal verb? It's been 8 months and I've just gotten around to writing about the basics, transitive, intransitive, and stative verbs, right? Crazy. Time flies. But that's something else they said about the daily grind, is that some of the regularity and the monotony, sure, it's a little bit boring while you're there, But they've also said that because it's so regular and they can count on it, the time flies by. And they're not sure if they like that. They'd like to break the daily grind and be able to travel the world. This was used in one of our example sentences this week. Break the daily grind and travel the world. Most people who are learning English as a second language have some intention to travel. Maybe it's just for work, or maybe it's to get out there and explore the world by yourself. But so many countries now, so many people around the world speak English that it's becoming very much a trade and transferable language. So what tasks or activities do you find yourself doing day in, day out? We've talked about that a little bit. And how do you keep them interesting? This has been an interesting question too. Most people have said they just try to vary their tasks during the week. They try to even structure it by taking Monday and Friday for a certain task, Wednesday for maybe a follow-up of that same task, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, they'll do some different subsets of tasks. This way, they're not doing the exact same thing all week, and it's not horribly monotonous. I don't know, Ori, what strategies do you use to help keep yourself from getting bored while doing spreadsheets or working on spreadsheets, sitting at a desk in a chair all week long? But most people have said, some of them have said, we get up, we'll do jumping jacks for 10 minutes. We'll go get a cup of coffee. When they get one of my students, I'm not sure if she's physics or chemistry, but she works in a lab and she deals with physics. But I don't know if it's a physics lab or if she's dealing with chemistry that deals with molecular physics. I'm not sure. But either way, she says that she will focus in on a problem and sit in her chair trying to figure out this problem for hours. She can spend the whole day and then some extra time just trying to understand one problem. She says that she has to write notes to herself. She keeps a notepad on her desk and she'll write what she's thinking, like, hey, her name. I won't say her name. Hey, her name. Why are you still sitting here? When she sees that 3 times, she'll stop, she'll go get a cup of coffee, she'll take a walk, and then she'll come back. And she says she almost always solves her problem within the next 15 minutes. Snap. Here's another good idiom we did talk about this week. Snap out of it. To snap out of it. When you snap out of it, it means you pop or you come out of a state of mind, a way of thinking, or it could be a sad situation. It could be an emotion you're experiencing. It could be dozing off at your desk in class. If you're a student, if you ever were a student, which I think all of us here were, you remember falling asleep, dozing off in class. You're trying to stay awake, but what this teacher is saying is so boring, and it's so early in the morning, and you stayed up too late playing video games the night before, that you just doze off. And then you wake up to a teacher in your face, snapping their fingers. Hey, snap out of it. What are you doing? Wake up in class. I had a class with the baseball coach at my high school. And I'll never forget, one of my good friends sat across from me. He was a basketball player. And he would always doze off in class because they had practice, late in the evening. And we had a good basketball team. They were a pretty solid basketball team. Let me just kind of throw this out there. My high school is the high school that produced Chris Paul, CP3, right? Chris Paul, who played for Wake Forest in college and went on to play for a couple of pretty darn good, if I might say so myself, NBA teams. But yeah, Chris Paul went to our school. He was 2 years younger than me. And this guy, of course, played basketball on the same team, high school team, as Chris Paul. So we had a good team. Those years, at least, we had a very good team. But he would doze off because he was so tired from all the practices. Coach Pope, the baseball coach, they had a good relationship. But when he would fall asleep, Pope would take a baseball. And I mean, I guess thank goodness he's a baseball coach and can still throw a ball, but he would throw this ball hard as he could against the wall. He would do it from his podium at the front of the class. I'm sitting just a desk space across from this guy with his head down. So that ball usually would bounce off the wall. And I mean, it hit me once. It's not like it really hurt. It was like, hey, oh, I'm not asleep. But yeah, that's a good memory of someone dozing off in a class. But I feel like this is also one of the most difficult main goals people have in office jobs is trying to keep things interesting so they don't become stale, so they don't become monotonous, so they don't become boring. I think I'm going to end that right there for today. This is the last slide I have prepared. We've went just over 30 minutes, and that's my general plan with these. But again, as we have people in chat asking more questions and chat's a little bit busier, these will be longer. They'll start to trend longer. The first one I did, we had someone named Facu from, where was Facu from? Buenos Aires, I believe. No, not Buenos Aires. He's from Argentina, but he was not from Buenos Aires. He was from somewhere in the north. Facu, if you're watching this, please send me a message and remind me where you were. You guys, if you are not part of the Discord, make sure you join the Discord. We can carry the conversation there. If you ever have any questions after these little classes, you can also find me here, !Discord in the chat here, brings up the command. Here, I'll run it one more time for you. Make sure you join the Discord if you haven't. And again, you can always find me there. It's always up. We have some other people there who want to talk and answer questions. Feel free to use that as your place to ask each other questions and DM me. But you can also @ me, right? Send your message with an @ symbol, use @, send it, and it will prompt me and let me know that someone had a question for me in the Discord chat. Instagram, I'm slowly building out RiceJD_Bridge Gaming on Instagram. It's going to take me some time. I do all of the graphics you see here, all of this, I do myself. And I refuse to let it be any other way, at least for now. Again, it's already a bit overwhelming because these take some time. This box here took me a minimum of 4 hours. I think when you add the motion graphics here, right there, when you add the motion graphics at the bottom of the box, can you see you can't see my cursor. Ah, well. When you add the motion graphics at the bottom of the box, that's another 2 to 3 hours by itself, using invisible solids, if you know what I'm talking about. And then same thing with the Bridge Gaming logo over there on the side. That little guy. All this stuff I made myself. So, brush your shoulders off. But this is kind of where I get sucked into spending time designing things and then trying to produce things. But I almost have a foundation where I can quickly record something and then make it look nice, put it on Instagram, put it on YouTube. These lessons will be on Twitch, I believe, for 30 days. So they'll be in the not video logs. What's the word I want to use? Video collection. They'll be in the video collection for 30 days, and then I believe Twitch will delete them. But the full lesson will always be on the YouTube. So make sure you look at @BSO_RiceJD on YouTube. All the lessons will be there. Some other content will be there. And soon, I'm going to start doing these little gaming shorts where I take idioms, phrasal verbs, language, different words to describe something that happened in the games that I'm playing, specifically Hunt Showdown. I have a ton of clips, really good clips, and they're perfect for a little 30 to 45 second video for TikTok or YouTube. But anyway, and if you're looking for full-fledged lessons, check out English at the Ready, right about where my hand is grabbing, up in this area. Check us out there, englishattheready.com or English at the Ready on Instagram. You'll find my friend, colleague, sometimes my boss, but not always my boss, sometimes mostly my colleague at English at the Ready. He has a lot of really good short TikTok videos describing the English language, describing grammar, vocabulary, situational English, things like that, that I think you might find very useful. He has put a lot of work into these, and I'm not even going to try to match his output, right? What you see here on Instagram's RiceJD Bridge Gaming, it's going to be what I do for fun, right? Because I don't want to get bogged down doing all of this. I want this to stay fun. I want to try to keep refreshed and keep these lives as interesting as possible without overworking myself. Makes sense, right? All right, everyone. Great to see you. Glad you stopped in. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found some of this useful. And again, I will see you next week. No, I won't. Ooh, will I? I may. We'll be home. If I have time, and if I'm feeling up to it, we have a long drive on Sunday. But I think I will actually be here next week. It's the following week, the first weekend of April. I will not be here for a weekly roundup. Anyway, I'll remind you guys next weekend about that. We may do a little makeup English roundup, weekly roundup during the week. But right now, it's time to go and doze off somewhere around the house. Ori, glad you could join for a little while. Lizzie, I'll see you in just a little bit. And anybody else who's watching this later, because I know you do. I see the metrics. Take care. Join us for a live sometime, 8:30 p.m. Don't I have that here? Maybe I don't have that set up yet. Nah, I don't. Anyway, 8:30 p.m. on Sunday nights is generally when I do these, but you'll get a notification. If you're following the page, again, make sure you follow the page. As long as you're following, you'll get a notification that I'm live. And please join us. Catch you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.